Okay, so let's finish this what if. By the way, does anyone else dislike the 5 and 6 posters? I prefer the simplicity of the first four, anyway, to the actual video. I like the idea of Billy becoming the sheriff of Woodsboro and using his position to kill people occasionally and cover it up. This would make him the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. Billy killed Maureen and framed Cotton without needing to make a spectacle out of it, so he's proven he's perfectly capable of being discreet. His position as sheriff will make it easy for him to cover up the occasional murder to satiate his bloodlust. Since Billy is viewed as a hero, there is no need for Kristen to lie to her boyfriend about Sam being his, so I think that Billy and Kristen get together and that Sam and Tara are both his kids. I could see Billy being a controlling, overprotective father. Since Judy was flirting with Dewey in the original Scream 4, despite him being married to Gail, I think she would do the same with Billy. Billy cheated on Sydney with Christine, so even if they are married with kids, I think he'd cheat on her with Judy. This makes Judy a perfect target for Billy's manipulation. If Billy and Judy have an affair, it would provide him with a loyal accomplice within the sheriff's department. Jill's plan to become the new final girl would likely stay the same, driven by her craving for fame and desire to escape her dead cousin Sydney's shadow. In this timeline, however, our attempt to gain notoriety would be a clash with Billy's own secretive style. Since Jill's method involves public killings designed to attract attention, it would put her directly at odds with Billy's quieter, methodical approach. Billy would quickly recognize Jill's copycat behavior as a direct threat to his controlled environment in Woodsboro. Nancy will just keep filling Gail's role as a reporter and investigating the copycat, as she is the only person fully aware of Billy's murderous tendencies. She'd serve as Billy's eyes and ears within the media, helping him control the narrative while avoiding any scrutiny of himself. Jill's plan should ultimately go the same, but since Sydney isn't there, she and Charlie probably do their reveal to Kirby, since Kirby was dead for minutes after Charlie stabbing her. I think her getting stabbed more by Jill would lead to her death. Jill would get away with everything and think she's a genius for being the first Ghostface killer to have a partner to kill and blame everything on, but would unknowingly just be copying Billy's playbook. Nancy and Billy certainly figure out Jill's Ghostface. I think Billy would confront Jill at the hospital, and after revealing he knows she's Ghostface, he reveals he's the original Ghostface and frame Neil, Roman and Mickey as the sole killers of the other attacks, just like she would have tried to do to Charlie, since in this timeline the idea of multiple killers is a foreign concept to the public. Just as Jill thought she'd outshine Sydney's legacy as a victim by becoming a survivor, her fame-seeking attempt is overshadowed by the very men responsible for Sydney's death. Billy would take immense satisfaction in revealing his role as the real Ghostface before killing Jill, seeing her as a poor imitation of Sydney and unworthy of his Ghostface legacy. He'd then reveal she was Ghostface and claim he killed her in self-defense. If this was an actual film and the direction the franchise went, I feel like people would dislike this one since Billy never dresses up as Ghostface. Jumping forward 10 years to Scream 5, let's say Richie's plan of reviving the Stab franchise still happens. He would still target Sam, since she's Billy's daughter and she gives him the perfect final girl to build his narrative around, especially since her father is the famed hero of Woodsboro. With Ember as his accomplice, Richie would plan to recreate the Stab mythology by casting Sam as the next Sydney who gets killed by Ghostface and himself as the tragic hero boyfriend Billy who avenges his girlfriend. He would probably be planning to frame Billy as the killer with the justification that he finally snapped. Billy and Christine would either get divorced, or she would put up with his cheating by getting drunk. It's likely that Billy wouldn't care much, focusing more on his darker inclinations than any broken relationship. With Nancy filling Gail's investigative role, the mother-son team would be a formidable force in Woodsboro. Their mutual loyalty and shared history of covering up past murders would make them highly dangerous, but they'd appear as protective figures to some and the community. The Loomis family would obviously be enraged by Tara getting attacked. I think the film mostly goes the same up until Judy's death. His daughter being attacked and his mistress killed would signify a critical loss of control for Billy, as Judy was not only an affair partner, but also a useful ally in the police. Sam would still realize that Judy's death was a diversion, but this time I think her, Billy, and Nancy all go to the hospital, and I think they would all have guns. When they get to the hospital, the scene would turn into an intense, high-stakes shootout with Billy, Nancy, and Sam arriving armed and ready to take on Ghostface directly. Amber, caught by surprise, would find herself up against not only her would-be target Sam but also two seasoned killers, Billy, the original Ghostface, and Nancy, who's used to surviving these confrontations. The hospital scene would become a 3v1 showdown, with Amber forced to fight against people who understand the Ghostface methods. Outnumbered and outgunned, ultimately, the Loomis family just gunned her down, ending her role in Richie's scheme. With Amber dead, Richie would have to abandon his third-act finale plans at her house and improvise to avoid detection. Stuck playing the role of the loving boyfriend, Richie would need to maintain his cover while processing his frustration over the failure of his plan. Richie's manipulative skills would allow him to stay close to Sam, all while keeping his motives hidden. And everyone would believe Amber worked alone, since sole Ghostface killers are seen the norm in this timeline. However, Billy's suspicious nature and deep-rooted understanding of the never trust the love interest trope could make Richie's facade harder to sustain. Billy would likely keep a close eye on him, especially given he invented the Ghostface playbook. With Amber dead and his plan falling apart, Richie would bide his time and eventually flee to regroup. He could seek help from his father, venting his frustration over the failure of his attempt to revive Stab, blaming the Loomis family for killing his girlfriend Amber, and setting up his motivation for Scream 6. Now to Scream 6, I think Richie recruiting Jason and Greg from the Stab subreddit fits perfectly with his character, as he's already shown to be adept at manipulating online fandoms. Rather than Wayne killing them, this means we would have 6 Ghostface killers. Richie, Wayne, Quinn, Ethan, Jason, and Greg. My idea is that Richie would use them to target Chad, Mindy, and Annika in parallel, with Wayne and Ethan attacking Nancy and Billy, with him and Quinn attacking Sam and Tara, since Richie is Sam's boyfriend and Quinn the roommate. Ethan can just give Jason and Greg his key since he's Chad's roommate. Wiley and Wayne go after Billy and Nancy, since the Loomis family are the main priority. The 6 Ghostfaces working in coordinated pairs for a single night-killing spree is an effective way to escalate the chaos. Sam already beat Richie, so she can do it again, but Tara isn't beating Quinn. Tara actually has no good feats or speed scaling, but Quinn scales to Gale, who scales to Roman dodging a bullet, so Quinn should just speed blitz Tara. Both girls would obviously be mad at their sibling dying, but Sam would beat Quinn like in the original. Chad can overpower Quinn, so he should easily win a 2v1 against Jason and Greg, since they're just feetless regular people with knives. Nancy would be 70 at this point, so whether it's Wayne or Ethan, they should easily kill her, quickly turning it into a 2v1 against Billy, and even if he does manage to get a gun. Wayne's fast enough to dodge bullets, and they should both have bulletproof vests on. Ultimately, I think this is how Billy dies in this timeline. In the aftermath, Wayne wouldn't be allowed to lead the case due to his conflict of interest, since Quinn was one of the attackers. I'm just assuming they kept their cover story the same. I think Wayne would tell Sam that he found the shrine and use it as a trap so he and Ethan can kill her. Since in Scream 6 the technology to get DNA off old masks exists, I think Wayne, who is probably the best detective in the series, finding and killing Jason and Greg in the original, with Jason only getting off one unplanned kill, would test the masks, figuring out that Billy was Ghostface all along, instead of Richie's fan film. The video playing in the theater is a live news broadcast revealing Billy's identity. When it comes to Sam and Chad versus Wayne and Ethan, Sam already beat Wayne and Chad beat Quinn, who's stronger than Ethan, so the father-son duo is dead. At the end, I think this version of Sam keeps her dad's mask instead of throwing it away. Sam becomes Ghostface and kills all her sister's friends Chad, Mindy, Leave and Annika. While Sam is probably the strongest character in Scream, she's also one of the stupidest. I don't see her being able to cover up a murder, frame someone, or go on the run. This timeline ends with the police figuring out she's Ghostface, and then she gets surrounded by cops and gunned down when she charges at them with a knife. That's the end of the What If. Everybody dies.
Good.